Welcome back. In this section, we will discuss computer backups. First, I'd like to say that backups are very important. Everyone I've ever talked to about backups has had a story about how they lost important information because they didn't have a backup. Backups will give you a peace of mind that in case something bad happens, your data will be rescued. One way to look at backups is they are like insurance. We buy insurance that in case something bad happens, you have a response plan. You should plan for a failure and then hope it doesn't happen. If you care about your computer and the files that are on it, you should create backups. Backups do require us to do extra work, which may never be necessary, but if we ever have any problems, we'll be glad that we did.
We will now discuss backup software. Backups. There's two types of backups. There's file backups, where we're backing up files and folders just to another location. And then there's drive backups. This is actually taking an image of the drive and creating a backup image. Backups, they allow you to recover the OS or files in the case of a system failure. It gives you peace of mind, and it allows you to manage your media storage a little more effectively. Well, how do backups work? In the case of files and folders, software basically just copies the files to a backup location. The backup files or folders can be used in the case the originals are lost. So the backup files look like regular files, just to a different location. And you can even just cut and paste these files to a different location. It can be as simple as that, but we'll actually be looking at software that does this for us. With drive images, there's software that will actually take a picture of your drive and actually create a backup image of that drive to a backup location. Software then can be used to restore that image back to that machine. Typically there's a boot CD that starts the restore process, and then we point it to the backup image that we had, and it'll actually rebuild the entire system back to that snapshot of when that backup was taken. We should probably talk about how to store backups. In the past, we used to use tape to backup to. Tape isn't used much anymore. A lot of what people use now is a USB drive or some kind of removable media drive. Make sure not to use the same drive as the original. It doesn't make sense to make a backup to a drive. If we lose that drive, we'll lose the original and the backup. You can store these in fireproof safes. There's a lot of sites now online that allow you to back up your software or your files to them. What are some of the components of backup software? Well, typically there's some kind of file selection and configuration. It allows you to specify what files or folders you want to back up. Configure the backup option. Destination drive, there's some kind of USB drive or tape that will store the backup. And sometimes, in some cases, there's a recovery software, such as the boot CD, that will rebuild your machine from a backup image. Here's some popular backup software. We'll be actually looking at the first two, SyncBack and Reflect. It's an easy way to get SyncBack is you just go to download.com, search for SyncBack, and here's what the results will look like. Just click on download. Just go ahead and save and run. This is the first screen. Just click next. Read through, agree to the license. Get some information. Specify where you want to put it, what the folder name should be, and any kind of icons. And here's just a review of your install. And here's just some additional information. And here we can just choose to launch it after it's done installing. Once it starts running, it'll see that we don't have any profiles and ask if we want to create one. And let's go ahead and click on yes. It'll ask us simply, what do you want to do? We're just going to do a backup. We're going to copy files from one folder to another. Click OK. We'll name our profile, in my case, backup. And it'll pre-select the option that we want, which is the second option here, which is the backup. All we have to do is specify the source and location and click OK. So we'll go up here to source and click the box here. And we'll say we're going to do all our My Documents. OK. And now we need to tell it where we're going to put it. So on my E drive, I have a Files Backup folder. I'll click OK. So now we have the source and the destination, and it pre-selected the option that we want. Just click OK. It'll then ask us, do we want to simulate our run? We'll do that later, so we'll just click No. And this is what we'll get. This is what our profile is now done. It'll warn us that there's no schedule for it. Do we want to create one? Just click Yes. It'll tell us that we should put in a login password. So if the scheduled to run and we're not logged in, it knows how to log in. And this is what it'll look like. Just say specify the password. And that's it. Now we have a scheduled job that will back up our My Documents folder to our E drive each day at 9 o'clock. Click OK. And we have the job here. So we can, let's go ahead and simulate the run. So we'll right click on it or select it and click on Simulate Run. And it'll simulate, it'll show us what files are involved and continue simulation, and there's no problem. It looks like it was successful. So let's go ahead and do it again, but do it for real. So we'll select it and either click Run here or right click and click Run. And again, it'll show us the same menu as the simulate. And we'll do Continue Run, and this time it'll actually copy the files where we want. It was successful. And if we go to our E drive, we can actually see that it copied the folders out there. And let's review SyncBat. It's got a lot of features. They have wizards that will take you through and do a simple backup. But if there's anything more you want to do, there's features in there that I'll probably let you do it. It's very simple to do files and folder backups. And it has a scheduler. We'll now look at Reflect. Reflect will actually back up your drive. It'll make an image of your drive. You should have 2 blank CDs for creating boot disks as we go through this. To download it, you can look for Reflect, or you can just look at Utilities, Operating Systems, Backup Software. And if you look through, you'll be able to find it. Click on Download, Save, Run, and Run. And this will be the install. Just click Next. Next, read through, agree to the license. Where do you want to put it? Click Next. It'll install, and it's finished. Click Closed. And now the software is installed. To run it, if we go to Start, All Programs, Malcolm, Reflect, it'll actually warn us that it does need the internet to be able to register the software. It is free, but it does need to register itself. Click on OK. Click OK. Your firewall might notice the connection to the internet, and in this case we know what it is, and we just allow it. Click, and it'll actually come back and license was successfully applied. Click OK. And it'll just say the installation is complete. Click OK. And this is the main screen. Here we can see the partitions or the different drives that we have on our computer. Here we have a C drive. We'll be making a backup of the C drive. But first, the first time you do log in, it does ask you if you want to create a rescue CD. To recover, you need to have a rescue CD or a boot CD. Click Yes. And there's 2 different types that it has. Some work for some computers, some work for others. I would just recommend just go ahead and create a boot CD of both of them, or recovery CD of both. In this case, I'll do the first one. Click Next. Select what drive you have. Click Next. It'll actually go out to see if there's any latest versions of the recovery CD. There's none in my case. and it'll actually burn the software onto the CD, and then you should have a recovery CD. Click OK. And so now we'll actually create a backup. If we select our C drive and go up here to the create a backup image of the entire disk, we'll click it, and it'll actually start the backup wizard. Here we'll just click on Next, select what we want to back up. It'll be our C drive. It'll say where do we want to put it. In my case, it's to the E drive. Click OK. This gives a brief summary of it. Click Finished. Now it gives us some options for the backup. I chose the recommended intelligent sector copy. Click OK. Allows us to run it now if we want. Allows us to name the backup. I'll go ahead and run it now. And we'll also make an XML backup definition file. This will allow us to rerun it again without having to go through these steps. It'll also allow us to schedule it. Click OK. So now it'll actually run the backup and put it to the E drive. OK. And now we actually have this definition file. So we can do different things with this. We can actually schedule it. If we go down here to schedule, we can say monthly. In my case, I did. So we can, in my case, I did the first Sunday of each month. It'll run the image backup. This is what the job will look like. So if you're on your machine when it tries to run, it will actually pop up and show you it's about to run. And again, this is just the run process. And just to review, backup files often. Try to schedule backups when possible. And you should probably create a backup of the drive in case you lose your machine or your hard drive. Otherwise, you're going to be rebuilding your machine from scratch. It's nice to have a checkpoint that you can at least restore to. And also, never have one copy of a personal file. If you got important pictures or documents, make sure they don't exist just in one place. Just go ahead and make sure you have 2 copies.